These are some of the more basic concepts that should help you warm up to the idea of using more video content to market your art. Hello. I am Caron Shahrestani of Caron Modern Media. I am also the social media manager for Marin Open Studios. Today's topic is smartphone videos, and specifically how to create them, how to use them, and different ideas towards that creative process of using video to share your art with people and to use that to help market your art to potential clients and find new customers. I do have a video background, and so I tend to preach a little bit about the power of video. And when I first started working for Marin Open Studios, I was really eager to make video content for the organization. So as some of you know, some of you have been interviewed by me. I've done a series of videos of artists about their art and have put that onto our YouTube channel. Every single one of them, as the artists who've been interviewed can attest, were done on my phone. And so when we talk about smartphone video content, that can actually mean a lot of different things and can include a lot of different types of content and capabilities. Some people think, oh, if I'm going to do a video of my art, that means that a video recording has to be going the whole time that I'm painting or sculpting. And so when you think of video as a form of content to market yourself, you want to think outside the box as much as you can. And we're all artists, we're all creatives. So that's part of what I'm sharing with you today is how best to use video in different ways to market your art and educate people on why they should commission and purchase art from you. Today we're covering tripods, lights, and microphones, video settings on your camera, free apps that are easy to use, clearing space on your phone, trimming video length, and adding music to video. We could easily do several sessions on smartphone videos for you guys, and maybe we will continue. But for now, these are some of the more basic concepts that should help you warm up to the idea of using more video content to market your art. First off, tripods, lights, and microphones. I have a lot of different ways that I've used video to document my artistic process, the creation of my art. For instance, this first image you can see is what would be considered a traditional tripod in that it has 3 legs, right? And this, as you can see, has also a little remote control that comes with it. So this particular setup is a tripod built for a smartphone. It has a telescoping, meaning extendable main base. And because of the tripod design, it can close up pretty tight and is relatively portable. So I've used something like this when I'm doing a mural or anything large so that I can put it to the side, in the corner, or behind me a distance. If I want it to be higher up and it's not that tall, I'll put it on a stack of books. But I find that to be a good static, meaning still shot device. And for video, it's a traditional device. However, what I use today, because most of my art right now is between 6 by 6 inch and 8 by 10 inch. That's the majority of the canvases I'm painting currently. And with that type of thing, I'm really close to the canvas, which means anything from far away, it's lost. So when you're doing a smaller piece of art, you're going to want something that's pretty much right over your shoulder, as if someone was leaning in next to you and watching what you're doing. So this second one, as you see, has a bendable arm. It has a clip it's usually like a hair clip adjustable. So it can be for Android, Apple, whatever. And it has a stronger clip, like a biting clip at the other end. This is currently what I use when I do time-lapse videos, or as they're called on iPhone, hyperlapse videos. of the artistic or creative process. And just to illustrate, I have my artistic easel, one of many, right? So I have an easel here, and I have my clipping device, and I basically clip it right on there, and it records it right over my shoulder. But essentially, that clip one is my favorite one because I actually have it, the part at the bottom, the clippy part, I have that attached to the thing that the art is on. And then it is going over, like think rainbow over, and then perch right at my shoulder as if it was like a parrot on my shoulder. Yes, I hit it with my head sometimes. Yes, I smack it with my brush sometimes. Yes, sometimes it's in the way. But for a really small piece of art, again, 6 by 6 inch, 8 by 10, I want it close so that you can get details. With the Gorilla Pod, which it's called Gorilla, you'll see it has 3 legs tripod, but it has little balls with little rubber circles on it. And so that, as we've talked about in a previous training, can actually hang from the ceiling or hang from a wall or hang from the side of a door or attach to something. And so that's an alternative to the clip one. But any of these will work for your different video purposes. You definitely, when it comes to lighting, want to consider, I think, LED. You can use any sort of light you want. Some of the people on this call today are very experienced artists who have their own setup as far as lights that they use to paint with or use to create art with, and mad respect for that, because I think the more light, the better. However, when you're doing, again, either smaller pieces or stuff up close and you're filming it, you want to make sure that you've got enough light on the canvas to be able to be picked up by the camera. So when I'm doing these smaller ones, you can see that this is actually a music light. My husband plays piano, so we have a bunch of these, but it's a clip light with LED. It's long ways, and it does have a plug that goes into the wall as well as it can take batteries. So again, I clipped that to the easel, and it is basically putting light directly onto my little canvases and making sure that what I film is bright enough for the video. This one is another LED panel that can work on like this first tripod, for instance, or it can be, you know, just kind of leaning against something. If it's rectangular like this, you can take the bottom off and it can just sit on a surface. But these are just different ways to fill light. So when you guys see me today on our call and I've got some light on me, that's actually like 2 of those little LED rectangles are on me right now, just to keep me sharp. So whether you're doing an interview video of yourself and your room's a little dark and you want to look better and brighter for this video where you're talking into the camera, for instance, these are 2 ways to fill the light, is get 1 or 2 of those little rectangular lights. And I didn't put brands on here because like there are just so many of them, and just pick one that has 5 stars and that a lot of people have purchased. The last thing on this slide is your lavalier microphone, which we've talked about before, but essentially it's something that clips to your neck or to your shoulder when you're doing video and will connect directly to your smartphone. If you do have the new iPhone and it has like the weird iPhone port, you definitely would have to use the connector that allows you to plug in a headphone jack into an iPhone, just like if you wanted to have like a wired pair of headphones connected to it. And so this is exactly what I use when I interviewed the different artists for the Marin Open Studios video series that I did. Video settings on your camera. This is just a little quick screenshot of an iPhone, but you would go to settings on your phone, you'd go to camera, and you can choose what resolution you're filming in. And so, for instance, if you wanted to record just basic video, this says 1080 at 60 frames per second, etc. This is where you just want to make sure that you have like a high enough resolution, like a nice HD. 60 frames per second is a lot. 30 frames is probably better, 25 to 30 frames. And then this one, for instance, recording slow motion, imagine if you did something like you splashed a bunch of paint on your canvas, or if you're someone who works with sculpture or glass blowing and you make a mistake and you have to destroy what you're doing and start over. Imagine like a slow motion, like breaking of that or squishing of that or you know, cracking of that. Slow motion is a type of video that's fun to play with, but again, that's a different number of frames per second, meaning actual frame stills that are filmed in the video. And so this is where your settings would be for basic video stuff. We will talk about apps in the next slide that will cover other capabilities. But essentially 1080, 1080 is the HD that you want to roll in. And see, this one says 240 frames per second. That's just for slow-mo. You want more like 25 or 30 frames per second. That's the ideal filming rate. You don't really need 4K. If you're thinking like a lot of people have phones now that say they have 4K video, those are gargantuan files. And you don't really need anything that sharp for most people's computers and smartphones for when you're marketing your art on these devices. So I would just 1080, 30 frames per second. In a previous training, I already talked about this first one. This is InShot, InShot. It is on iPhone and it is on Android. This is my #1 video editing app, and I'm going to show you a couple screenshots in a moment from that app that show you what my main functions are that I use that for. I use it for photo editing, video editing, trimming video length, adding music to video, anything you want to do. And it's sharp enough, it can export in 1080 HD, what we just said. So any video you put into it, it exports it in the quality that you want. The only risk of using some video editing apps out there is that they might have all these cool special effects and stickers and music, but then it doesn't export in 1080. Maybe it exports in 720 is another number below that. That's okay, but you really want 1080. So keep that number in mind when you're looking at these different apps and deciding which one to use. InShot is this top one. To the bottom left, this one is called Viva Video, V-I-V-A, Viva Video. There's also a Viva Video Pro version where I think you pay $5 or something like that. Viva Video is excellent for video editing templates. And the benefit of using a template is that you are able to already have music, transitions, text placement, fun little stickers. Things might be synchronized to the beat of the music. So for those of you that we have a lot of creatives on this call, maybe you want to have a little fun with it and put something a little more interesting into your editing experiments. Viva Video Pro, and that's the logo for it with the little star in the middle, is one of my go-tos. And then this one to the bottom right, which looks like an infinity insignia, that's Boomerang. Some of you have heard of this from a previous training, but essentially Boomerang is part of the Instagram family of apps. That means it is technically built into the app, but in order to use it regularly, you would download the app itself to your phone. The benefit of having Boomerang on your smartphone as its own app is that anytime you encounter a situation in the creative process where you're able to document something that only lasts a couple of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, and you're able to capture it with the Boomerang app, it'll, with the magic of video, turn those 2 to 3 seconds into a looping piece of video content. You've probably all seen it in some way or another, where maybe someone's just like stirring a pot of soup and it seems like it's just never ending. Or if someone drops a bucket of paint and then it comes back up, and then they drop it again and it comes back up. Boomerang is really fun, but also easy to use. And when you create a boomerang and post it on the internet, like Instagram, for instance, like on social media, it will loop when people watch it. And that increases your visibility on this platform in particular, because Instagram robots keep counting how many times someone watches an individual video. So if you have a 2 to 3 second video and it's just looping, and someone kind of spaces out watching you drop the paint, pick it up, drop the paint, pick it up, brushwork up, brushwork down, that works in your favor as far as building an organic rise in the views of your posts and potentially getting better engagement on your content. Clearing space on your phone. So you want to keep in mind that once you start playing with video more on your smartphone, you're gonna run out of space. It's inevitable. It's not a 4K thing. It's not because you did all these fun things with your special video editing apps. It's just a matter of fact, video files are big. And so especially if you're doing something beyond little boomerangs, like something of you talking or a video of your artistic process, you might get a notification at some point that your apps are not working because you are out of space. So make sure that you know to go to your storage or iCloud usage storage on an iPhone, manage your storage. It's going to show you photos, videos, and apps. So once in a while, feel free to delete apps from your phone that you haven't been using, because that'll significantly help with the creation of videos and editing of videos on your phone. As soon as you have too much stuff on your phone and then you try to start editing videos with it, your phone will start to malfunction. It'll either get like a little hot, or it'll work really slowly, or you'll do all this work and then it won't save properly. So just know that space is paramount, and that if you're able to clear space from your phone before you start playing with videos, that'll make everything run much easier. And if you are someone who has iCloud storage or Google Drive, you can definitely set up to do a backup of your phone periodically so that you don't have to keep so many photos and videos and music files or what have you, documents on your device, and that you always have that backed up in the cloud on the internet. That's one of the better ways to roll, so that you don't have to worry about purging once in a while and deleting a bunch of content while you're doing video functions. Trimming video length. So one of the things about video is, like I said, these are big files. And if you're shooting a video of yourself talking about your art, or maybe you're doing a video of the process, like a time lapse or a hyperlapse, there are times where you're going to want to make it shorter. And that includes potentially taking this clip over here when you started the process and then adding the clip at the end when you finished it. Or here's the beginning of the canvas or the statue, and here's the actual finished product, and why don't you put those two things together. So typically trimming is one of the more basic functions you want to be able to do. And most smartphones have a trimming function built into their phone somewhere in the camera and like video editing basic built-in capabilities. But when you're in InShot, which was that first app, InShot, when you're in InShot, trim is the first option of what you can do. And so when you see this image here, the big red arrow is pointing to the little button that looks like scissors. It's showing you in the image above what the beginning of that video looks like, and it's showing you at the very bottom in a little strip or a ribbon the length of that video in like centimeters or inches. And so when you want to trim it, you typically would take your finger and hold it down on either the beginning or the end of the video, and you take and you drag it left or right to trim it. And that's basically how you do it. And so you take a bunch of little videos, take this one, drag it to the left, take this one, drag it to the right, make it skinnier, basically. And that's the basic function that is pretty consistent with all the video editing apps that I've found. There's also split as a function, like a banana split. So as you can deduce, if you have a video where you want the beginning and you want the end, but you don't want the middle, there's also a split function similarly to the trim function, where you can slice it in the middle and then again drag it to the left, drag it to the right, make the two shorter. For Instagram, for instance, a story, an Instagram story is only 15 seconds and an Instagram post is only a minute. So trimming is very important if you don't want to have to get into Instagram television or Instagram TV, which is a completely different side of video content on Instagram. Adding music to video. This might seem pretty basic, pretty cut and dry. However, there are certain things you want to know about music before you start playing with smartphone video content on these apps, because there are, for instance, on InShot, samples of music provided for you for free for you to use in your video editing project. It's one of the reasons why I love the app, is that it's got all the things you need and it's even got music you can use. it's quote unquote royalty free, but I'm giving you the bunny ears because over time, so many people have used some of these apps that now social media like Instagram and Facebook are flagging certain posts for using music that other people have used a lot because it becomes a question of copyright. Do these people have permission? Does this person have permission? So when you go on the app, but essentially right along the same line, the same menu at the bottom on InShot, where you would see the little scissors, you would see a little music note. That's where you find music. And it would present to you, this last slide, a whole list of songs by different artists. You know, some of them are kind of ethereal, some of them have lyrics to them, but essentially they're all different songs that have been given the royalty-free status. Royalty-free meaning you don't have to pay anybody to use the music. That said, if you're going to add music to a video and post it on social media or Facebook, make sure that you attribute the singer or the musician. That's how you avoid your social media account being flagged. When you see the name of an artist in any of the royalty-free music that's shown to you in these apps, take note, even write it down with paper, pencil, and put down the name of the person so that you can type that into the caption. You'd say, la, 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 here's a video, music by, and just put the name of the person that way. That'll be read by the robots, and then it'll be deemed that you were given permission to use this person's song because of this video editing app that justified it or that categorized it as being royalty free. That is what I have for our basic training. When we go to YouTube and if we go to our Marin Open Studios channel, and for those who haven't seen it yet, this is our channel, it's Marin Open Studios channel. We have videos created by you, created by our artists. Here's a list, all different artist videos that have been submitted that we are now sharing via our channel. These ones in the black and white are my trainings, like the one you're on right now. This will be up next week. And then below that are Meet the Artist videos. So these are the videos that I've made on smartphone for Marin Open Studios to promote different artists. I know you guys aren't necessarily able to hear the audio. The text you see with Bibby's name and that little heart that was dangling, that was built into the InShot app as a quote unquote sticker. The marinopenstudios.org text in the upper corner, that is the text effect from InShot. So you're able to put your website or any contact information you want in the corner the whole time. I recorded this on my phone with one of those little tripods that I showed you earlier, because it's actually sometimes more stable to have the phone held on a device like that than to actually hold it in your hands or between your fingers. And as far as lighting, as far as microphone, you can see on her lapel of her lovely fur coat that Bibby is wearing that teeny tiny little black mic. So that mic is directly linked to my Android smartphone so that it's simultaneously recording her talking, a higher quality audio, and then filming her at the same time so you don't have to sync anything. This video has two parts. Here's the part with Steven, and same thing, filmed it on a phone. He's wearing, you can see he's got the little microphone on his lapel. It's a little less noticeable because he's wearing a dark shirt, but all of this was filmed, edited, and published on a smartphone. That's part of what's possible. So I know you guys have seen in previous trainings the time lapses that I've done, or again on iPhone, it's called a hyperlapse. But essentially, every time I do a painting, I set up that little clip and put it over my shoulder and have it take a time lapse of the whole process. So this is maybe 6 hours of work, maybe it's 8 hours of work, and it's broken down into a 12-second clip or a 15-second clip. This has been one of the biggest selling points of my artwork as far as putting it on social media and on the internet, because every client who commissions a piece says, please make sure that you take one of those cool time lapses of your art so that I can show it to the person I'm giving it to, or so that I could show it to people when they ask me about it. So think about that, the potential of having people be excited to see an element of the creation of the art that they buy from you, either something you've already bought or something they commission from you. So that's my training for today on smartphone videos. For our questions, our Q&A, Caitlin says, I have an Android and every beautiful video that I take and send becomes pixelated and blurry. I hope to learn how to fix that. So Caitlin, I have an Android as well. It can depend on your model of phone as far as how old the phone itself is. It can depend on the updates of your phone, right? You can have an older phone, but it needs to be updated. Another alternative is that if it's actually a blurry thing, not necessarily a pixelated thing, but just kind of a fuzzy blurry thing, time and time again, it's because my lens is dirty, but that's not a forever problem. So just know that I've done really beautiful blurry videos before and didn't realize there's just like a big old smudge on there. But really, it usually comes down to those first two. How new or old is your phone? Has it been updated to the most recent operating system? Because those are usually going to be the biggest hindrances to quality. What you want to think about what's really happening with pixelated or blurry videos is that the smartphone computer is trying to compress and make the video small enough so that you can put it on an email or upload it to the internet quickly. And so there are times where you'll be filming something on your phone and you'll think, wow, this is really sharp. And then you'll see it later after you've published it online and you'll think, that does not look as sharp. So keep in mind the settings that we mentioned earlier in today's training. That are you in 1080 HD? Maybe you're filming in 720 and you just didn't know it. Kathleen says, how do you join each segment of video together, assuming that I'm doing a portrait demo and need breaks between working? So Kathleen, I do a time lapse, like I said, which is basically a camera taking a photo every 10 seconds. And so on iPhone, it's called a hyperlapse, but essentially, instead of filming a video, which that's a long piece of content, but if you actually just have it go pop, 10 seconds later, pop, or 1 minute later, pop, then you can actually take a break, step away, and it can keep clicking. Or what I do is I pause it. If you are doing the hyperlapse function on iPhone and it doesn't allow you to pause it and you just have to finish the hyperlapse, eat something, go run errands, come back to your art and film again later. That's where you take InShot, the editing app we talked about today, and you pull up one of the clips, and then you can see on the bottom there's an option with a plus to add additional clips. And really it's just trimming, and you can click and drag, move this one so it's first, that one so it's second. It's very intuitive and easy. How do you choose between InShot and Viva? So Georgette, InShot is my favorite, but Viva is more fun to play with. Like I said, they're templates. Like think of like a flashy template with like techno music and this image moves this way and then text goes in your face real quick. It's like they've got silly stuff on there. All of these apps are made in Asia. Some of them have like Mandarin or Cantonese characters that pop up at random, so but they're free or low cost. So that's kind of what you're paying for. But I InShot all the way every day. That's my favorite go-to. Can you put a white frame around a video? Yes, Ellen. So I would do that in InShot. Basically, once you pull it into the program, you have a chance to not just play with the ratio, the cropping, right? Do you want a square video? Do you want a rectangular video? Like right now, if you're on a computer, you are at a rectangular widescreen ratio. For those of you who are on a smartphone in our call today, you are in the vertical ratio. So you can do videos in both, but you could also do it in square and actually crop off the sides of a video and just have, so when you see my time lapses of my art, I don't usually do widescreen. Mine's usually a square because it's like, you don't also need to see my teacup move left and right and around, and you don't also need to see my husband like run in and out of the kitchen. You know, it's like you can really kind of just trim out those other distractions in your art space if you have distractions in your art space. And so yes, you can change the dimensions of the video, and then you can frame it in white in the InShot program. And usually, Ellen, it's a pinch thing when you're in that canvas. Like you would actually on the smartphone be like, I want it to be wider, or and so you can zoom in on videos as well. Again, that form of cropping. If I have consecutive images to make into a video, which app do you suggest? So Anne-Marie, I love InShot. That's my favorite. But like I said, Viva Video is fun too. InShot is number one though. If I want to add music to my videos, it sounds like I will need a special app. So Deborah, InShot and Viva Video, both of those come with music, meaning that, like I said, they have royalty-free music included in their music library. You hear a sample of it when you're making your video, you say, that's the one I want, and it'll download a file of it to your phone, and you'll be able to use it in your project immediately. So that is why I'm recommending these apps. You don't have to go look for music. You don't have to know if you have permission. But those are the two to add music to your videos. Shiva says, please remember to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you. Yes. Okay, Shiva. We're not to the marketing part yet. I guess I didn't have to read that out loud. Melissa says, I found InShot very easy to learn. Yes, Melissa has a couple of videos on our YouTube playlist that she made herself of her beautiful handmade sculptures, and she's put them to music, and she's put the like images together, and so check out her work. She's had fun with it. I did my whole video just using my iPhone, says Beverly. What would be the advantage of using the InShot app over the native iPhone capability? So Beverly, again, one more time, InShot has music, royalty-free music included in it that you can add to your project as you're doing it. And also Viva Video, like I said, the more creative of the two with the templates, it is just above and beyond anything that iPhone would just logically put into its native video editing platform. It's just too silly and fun. It's that kind of thing. It's like silly in your face transitions and popping and flashing. It's the kind of thing that, like, if you really want to just get down with like what the kids are doing, you know, with video nowadays, like just going all out with special effects. That's the advantage of playing with these apps. And of course, anything built into your iPhone that says video editor or video maker, or right, what do you do when you go on your Mac laptop when you want to make a video? What is iMovie? These apps by Apple are made to be intuitive, are made to be user friendly. So of course, in any of these situations, you could just film it on your camera that's built into your iPhone, edit it on the video editor that's built into your iPhone, publish it. These are just the things that I use, not just as an Android user, but as a creative, someone who really wants to kind of play more and have more to play with. Can I move an MP4 from iMovie to edit in InShot? So Anne-Marie, the only limitation is InShot is on your phone. So you would have to download the MP4 to your phone first, right? Not just watch it from your phone in the cloud, but like save it or open with. You would want to do that on your phone first, and then you can open it on InShot. What's the difference between Studio Zoom meeting and making a video? Can you use the Zoom meeting to show your video? The Studio Zoom meeting, Zoom is a video conferencing application. So the main difference is that, sure, you can film or record what you're doing on Zoom at any time and then publish that. You can also play videos for people while you are Zooming with them. There are some tricks and limitations to audio if you want people to be able to hear the audio of the video that you're playing. So that's just one thing. But otherwise, yes, you can use a Zoom meeting to show your video to people for sure. Last one, then I have to skedaddle. You guys have some great questions today. I always have a problem sending videos by email or messaging because of the size of the video. also when sending multiple photos. So Laura, that's definitely an eternal issue. It doesn't matter what email program you have. I use Gmail because I feel like it's the strongest and it allows you to send the largest emails to people. Like the maximum is like 24 megabytes or something like that. But really, that doesn't matter if your email is strong enough. It's does the person who's receiving your email have an email service that's strong enough to receive big files? And if they're like Yahoo or SBC Global or AT&T.net or any of those ones that haven't really updated as much as Gmail has, then you are going to have your notification pop up that something's too big. So I very rarely send raw or edited videos or photos to people directly in an email unless it's just like one photo, because I also do professional photography, so my photo files are big just like my video files are big. Everything I do is Google Drive. And so in our last training about Instagram hashtags, I talked about Google Keep, which is basically the note keeping and note taking app, and how I use that to save hashtags and reuse hashtags. Google Drive is basically the iCloud or cloud storage for Google. And I pay extra money to Google on a monthly or annual basis because that's how I deliver videos and photos to my clients after we do a video or photo shoot. And so in this instance where you have a problem sending your videos by email, upload it first to Google Drive, or if you prefer Dropbox or one of those other cloud service programs, if you already have an existing service, they're all pretty much the same. And then send the link to someone in an email and say, here is a link to this video I just made, or here is a link to an album of photos, several or multiple photos that I wanted to send you. On Google Drive, I typically just by default say anybody who has this link can open it so that people can share it, especially if it's a video of your art. Make it so it's like link sharing available, change those settings so that you can send someone a link to a video and be like, feel free to send this to other people, and that they don't have issues opening it. Because when you share videos or photos via email, there is a sharing like permission capability that you want to activate so that people don't have an issue forwarding it along. How do I get a link? I assume we're still talking about cloud storage. When you upload a video to Google Drive or to Dropbox, once it is successfully uploaded and you go to see that file or watch that video playing in the cloud, usually in the upper right corner, just wherever the menus are, right? They're usually in the corners on your websites and social media. Usually in the upper right corner, you'll see a triple line or a triple dot. That's your drop-down menu, and you have the capability of sharing the file that you just uploaded. When you hit share, it'll give you the chance to copy a link to that video that you just uploaded to the cloud, and then you just paste that link. And then Laura, you said follow-up question, does the recipient need to have Google Drive? No. In order to, if you want to send videos or photos to people via email and the files are too big to send, in the email itself, send a link via Google Drive, and they do not have to have a Google Drive account to view your video or your photos. If you want to communicate with them or feedback, they will at some point be prompted to log into Google. Maybe it's their YouTube account, maybe it's their Gmail account, so that the shareable files also show up in their cloud. So even though you uploaded the videos and the photos over here, this person has their own account. Now they're able to see what you created in their cloud, in the shared part of their cloud. That's it for our questions today, guys. I really appreciate your time and energy. These are definitely the kinds of questions that you need to be asking to figure it out. I hope that today you've been empowered to start playing more with smartphone video capabilities and apps. If you've yet to follow us on YouTube, please subscribe to the Marin Open Studios channel so that we continue to build our presence and exposure for artists. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. Thank you for coming. Round of applause.